Welcome back. It's day 6 of Black History Month, where we celebrate Black History 365 and sometimes 366. All right, this time we're back in Africa, and this time we're on the west side of Africa in what is now modern day Ghana. We're looking at the Ashanti Kingdom, specifically the person of Yaa Asantewaa. Now, this is a map of the Ashanti Kingdom. It existed from about 1700 to 1896 until they were ultimately defeated by the Brits. Now, the Ashantis had been beefing, if you will, with the Brits before they were ultimately defeated. They would go back. So they would have an uprising, the Brits would squash it, and then they would rise again. And then it finally took a turn when the Brits took away some of the captives, the chiefs, and then they also demanded the golden stool. Now, you may be wondering, what golden stool? What are you talking about? So this isn't the actual golden stool because that is well hidden. But the golden stool, so because this is the Gold Coast gold, is very important. This stool is seen to be sort of literally the life, the spiritual essence of the Ashanti people, that they believe that two chiefs created it, and it was sort of like this divine thing that was handed down. In other words, ain't nobody but the Ashantis sitting on the golden stool. So after the Brits carried away the Asante Heen and declared themselves the owner of the land and demanded the golden stool, the chiefs and the leaders of the Ashantis got together and they were trying to figure out what to do. And quite frankly, the men in there were afraid. They were absolutely terrified. And Yaa Asantewaa, this is one picture of her, and her grandson was carried off in this. She had enough. She was over it. She was like, what is happening here? So this is also another picture of her when she was a little younger. You see her, she ready to fight. Anyway, she had enough of all these men who were ready just to give in to the Brits. So she stood up in the council and she said quite a few things, but the most important part was she was like, if you men folk won't fight them, then me and the women will do it. We'll just go into battle. We'll move forward because I see that y'all don't have the courage to do that. Again, another picture of her. As you can imagine, the men folk were like, oh, you know what? Let us not have the women fighting on our behalf. So they then went into battle with the Brits, and they actually defeated them in the battle, beat them down so bad that the Brits didn't even leave their fort. The Brits eventually had to have some reinforcements sent, and then months later, they fought the Ashantis again, where they defeated them, taking away Yaa Asantewaa. This is her cell where she's believed to have been exiled to, because that's how the Brits would sort of do their ruling. They would exile the leaders. And so she was exiled, where she stayed for about 20 years until she died. I forgot to mention that Yaa Asantewaa was especially pressed on making sure that the golden stool was not taken away, because as the Asantewaa, she was in charge of actually keeping the